going into a tiebreaker game right now. So that's going to be a little scary, a Mew tiebreaker mirror match.
Oh, whoever takes the first prize wins. And I know it's funny because, like, in the classic Mew Mirror, that was kind of the name of the game regardless. Whoever got their Meloetta set up first was just irreparably ahead. But now we have this more intricate matchup potentially for a mirror with, like, Avery and whatnot trying to disrupt your opponent instead.
Well, enough about that top 8 game. We are on to the top 4 here. Let's go ahead and take it down to the table. You have Piper Lepine on the left, Drew Kenneth on the right. Let's go ahead and take a deeper look at these players.
Yeah, I know that this, again, is a rematch we saw earlier from the Swiss rounds that were broadcast on stream. Piper has been doing amazing during this tournament. And, of course, top 32 at NAIC, a lot of top 32s and some kind of older regional champion wins under her belt, but this is going to be another fantastic start to the 2023 season just to make it here to the top 4.
Yeah, pretty crazy 2022 for Piper there. She just put on a very consistent performance the entire season and really showing up with this Inteleon toolbox deck, that Radiant Charizard, that Inteleon with its shady dealings and Aqua Bullet, putting in a ton of work, and ever since Worlds really just came in its own as a deck.
This is a list that has a lot of intricate sequencing, a lot of shuffling. Like regarding like the Mews that we've been seeing all day, this was sort of the progenitor of that, having just a classic list that seems you have access to your full deck at any time. Meanwhile, Andrew Kenneth, who's also been popping off top 4 in the Vancouver regionals, trying to get another big win under his belt for the 2023 season.
Yeah, 2-time regional champion, the law firm, Andrew Bennett Kenneth, trying to make it 3 times here this weekend, playing that Regigigas deck with that new addition from the Pokemon Go set that we saw really benefited at Worlds in that Pokestop. And honestly, he's been very lucky in certain times, but also just very consistent in this tournament.
Yeah, the Regigigas deck, similar to the Radiant Charizard, was a bit of an unproven anomaly.
This is a little awkward prizes for Piper here. That Radiant Charizard to go along with the Twin Energy and a double Drizzile.
And also the rare Candy, so a lot of the stronger options for this deck to really get out ahead being found in the prizes. This is in perfect contrast to their first game 1 on the game we saw on stream, where Andrew had to scoop immediately after prizing some very important pieces as well. But here, with extra time, extra ability to play out the matches, no needing to feel like you need to save that time, a winner will be decided. We're going to see both players just play their heart out.
And here we go. Top 4 at the Baltimore Regional Championships. Andrew gets to start off the game going first, has that Aurora Energy, discards the Tool Scrapper. Other than that, though, the hand not looking too hot, just a pass of the turn.
Yeah, just a very slow start. The Regigate, at the very least, can use Regirock can use Regigate. That's the that's the unknown Regigate, Regigatey. But anyway, Piper again still fighting, doing the similar just Sobble play and attach with the Manaphy. Goes for the keep calling to complete the setup. Once you have all the Sobbles on the bench, all in play, your next turn is going to be so explosive where you're able to get all of the cards you need to hopefully get an Inteleon down soon.
Yeah, again, she's going to have a little bit of bad news, going to see those prize cards. This deck really relies on that Inteleon engine to attack, search for cards, attack again, get things going. And with 2 Drizzile prize, it's going to put a lot of pressure on those scoop-up nets and alike to really reuse shady dealings.
Fortunately, Piper does pick up the early Manaphy, going to hold back the Regieleki from using that spread damage and putting it onto the bench here. But yeah, Andrew's hand is not good. Just has to go for a Marnie here to shuffle down, draw 5 more cards, and try to complete this Regi setup. Regirock being set up in the active just for Regigate. But here we go. We get a Lightning attacker.
That does mean Speed Lightning Energy will be able to draw 2 cards for Andrew here. And does find, wow, the Regidrago and a quick ball, just missing one more piece of the puzzle, that Regigigas.
Now with Pokestop, we might be able to find that final piece. Just goes for the quick ball, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's all coming together. In their first best of 3, we saw Andrew Kenneth very consistently get this setup down, and because Piper, again, missing the rare candy, missing those Drizziles, the ability to get an Inteleon in play and start threatening with Aqua Bullet is going to be very difficult. And with Radiant Charizard as well, at the very tippy top of the prizes, not going to come down until much later in the game. If you can't start taking your prizes immediately, you can't get your other attacker. So just extrapolating from there, it looks like this first game for Andrew could be pretty easy as long as he completes his setup.
Yeah, again, just checking what is prized, looking to eye down that Registeel. Yeah, with Pokestop, it's a little bit hit and miss in this deck. It is very good discarding the energies, getting those items that you need to search for your Regis. But you could also discard those important Regis, especially when you don't play as many of them as the other ones. So like 3 copies of the Regidrago, 3 copies of the Lucky. You don't mind discarding those, but anything else, it's a little rough.
Yep, Pokestop gets rid of the path to the peak, but gets a scoop up net, a great way to get this Regirock out of the active if Regieleki is wanting to attack here in the next turn or two. Generally, when you kind of whiff on completing your setup, you kind of need to sacrifice a Regi in the active and hopefully have the pieces to get it back from the discard pile. But yeah, Andrew Kennett's just going to go for Regigate here to find that Regigigas. And now with Regidrago just needs to be put onto the bench, and Ancient Wisdom will be available.
Yeah, not too bad. And we have an update for our last top 8 match. Isaac did pull out the win. So winning game 2 in time with that penalty, but then finishing that tiebreaker game for game 3. Now he's going to be off and facing the Ice Rider.
Oh, man. To have a mirror match like that come down to the wire, right? Game 3, at time, sudden death. You know these players are very equally matched. I don't think that you could expect anything less from a mirror match at this high caliber of play. But back to the top 4, we've got the Sobble set up, again, with a Fire Energy and a Water Energy, primed and ready to become a Drizzile and into an Inteleon, but just going to put up the Mew instead to Mysterious Tail. Again, with those Drizziles prized, missing that middle stage is very difficult.
Yeah, the quick ball was able to fetch the Mew, and Piper retreated into it to find that Evolution Incense. The only way to really get a Drizzile for this turn, her hand wasn't very good off that Marnie, so thankfully this Evolution Incense will be able to open it up a little bit more, but it's going to be awkward looking through that deck.
There's only 1 copy of Rare Candy in this deck, so it has to be a full evolution line. We don't get that tempo of being able to skip right into the Inteleon and have that surprise threat of the Aqua Bullet. And you can see Piper evolving Drizzile from this energy-attached Sobble, I think, is kind of really telegraphing to Andrew, yeah, I don't have the rare candy. I'm just going for a perfect setup. Furthermore, with the Drizzile being put onto the Sobble, you don't get to use the scoop-up net the way you would like to recycle that evolution as well.
Yeah, that is really big, too, especially the scoop-up net being found with the Irida. And Piper is going to have to take it really slow here. Rare Candy is one of the ways you can actually jump out of the gate and get some damage going early against a deck like Reggie's. And does have the Magma Basin to bump that Pokestop, but now it's back to Andrew, and he does have a pretty stellar hand. Professor's researched that Regidrago to finish that Reggie combo, and a scoop up net to go along with it.
I think the only missing piece here is to get these Aurora Energies into the discard pile, but with 2 manual attachments onto this Regieleki, you know, it's up to 3. So once we get this Regirock out of the active, should be pretty easy to get that powered up. And now we have a lightning attacker raining down onto these Sobbles as they cry under a waterfall. Even though Manaphy is there to prevent the bench damage, once you take the first prize just naturally attacking the active in a single prize matchup, this is so important for Andrew.
100%, and Andrew actually uses that capture energy to find the other Regidrago with its ability, just a much better card in this matchup, and having that access on the bench pretty nice. And there we see that Professor's Research, 7 cards.
Also, I just want to point out the quick double check, 7 cards drawn. Players, the judges are everybody's super cautious now, doesn't want to make a mistake at this point. Every player we've seen so far on the stream is trying to just add another notch to their belt or have that first breakout regional win.
And there we see the knockout with
the Terra
that.
Spark.
Yep, Terra Spark. Unable to do bench damage. That Manaphy putting in a lot of work, and we'll have to see what Piper can do here. Does bring up the boss's orders with that shady dealings. Maybe we can be eyeing down a quick knockout with something like that Galarian Zigzagoon.
I also do like the placement of the Magma Basin here. You want to bump that Pokestop, but by getting the Magma Basin down, you are kind of just bluffing to Andrew. Well, yeah, I've got this Radiant Charizard. Don't forget about that, even though it's in the prizes. Radiant Charizard is a card that typically does come down much later in the game, so Andrew isn't going to get the read on it just yet that it might be in the prizes, the way that he would, say, with a rare candy, right now that the Inteleon is finally fully evolved slowly but surely here.
Looks like Boss's Orders and Hisuian Heavy Ball are the trainers of choice for Piper. She's going to be going back in with Level Ball to find that last Drizzile. The Hisuian Heavy Ball can find that Radiant Charizard from the prizes. And as long as... Oh, the Level Ball will get the Galarian Zigzagoon instead.
Ooh, so trying to get that ping, trying to set up a little bit of cheeky damage here, again with the Aqua Bullet, right? In order to kind of catch up now in the single prize race, we need this spread damage to be able to set up 2 prize cards in one turn. Piper could even use this Heavy Ball to get one of the Drizziles over the Radiant Charizard. She had stated earlier that the Aqua Bullet has really been doing most of the heavy lifting for this list.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, with Hisuian Heavy Ball, can only grab basics
from
oh my
the
God,
prizes. That's right.
Oh
my God, that's right. You're absolutely right. I'm just trying to gaslight chat. I'm testing their Pokemon knowledge.
Yeah, it was a test, and y'all failed. No. Oh, thankfully with that shuffle, both the Drizzile are down at the bottom here. Probably the best case scenario for Piper. Gets to play down that Galarian Zigzagoon. That Radiant Charizard, Magma Basin to it.
Yep, just having this extra attacker available, even though Excited Heart is going to discount this attack a little bit. As long as you have the 1 fire energy, we're going to see just manual water energy attachments to keep this Charizard up and running.
Yeah, and that was huge, having that extra water energy in hand. Remember, there's only 5 energy total in this list, but having it gets the knockout, 20 damage on that Regidrago, which Drew is kind of forced to promote because it helps him draw cards.
And I love the split threat now from Piper. You have this Radiant Charizard slowly ticking up as you attach energy to it as Andrew takes prizes. But if Andrew chooses to chase this down in order to, head that off at the pass, Inteleon is still already set up with 2 energy and can just come right back into the active, take another knockout with the Aqua Bullet.
Now Andrew has to find an Ordinary Rod and then a way to grab that Regirock from the deck yet again. Has all the Ball Search in hand, but missing that Ordinary Rod. Is going to need to thin the hand down, maybe draw some cards with the Regidrago and try to hit it. There's 4 of them in the deck.
Yeah, so just even going to fail the ball, you know that he's thinning down for the Dragon's Horde ability. He can draw up to 4. Maybe there's a way to get a Pokestop as well to get a little bit of extra digging into the deck. Goes for the Heavy Ball. Going to take a look in the prizes, try to calculate, okay, how likely is it that I'm going to find the Pokestop? No basics in there. Basic Pokemon, of course, as we all know, is the only thing you can get off of Hisuian Heavy Ball.
Yeah, the prizes aren't really going to be doing much for Andrew here. Nothing really you need in there as of right now.
And after taking that first prize as well in the single prize matchup, you feel so favored. But the trick there is to be able to consistently keep up your pressure. And now we're missing one piece of the Reggie puzzle. Oh. Dragon's Horde for 1.
Yeah, Drew had the option to play that Speed Lightning Energy, draw a couple cards before the Dragon's Horde, but really just trying to sequence it the best way possible. And yeah, that hand a little awkward, but the Marnie is going to have to pull a ton of weight here. needing to find an ordinary rod and a quick ball at least.
Let's go. If anybody can do it, it's Andrew. Scoop up net. Oh, never mind.
That hand's terrible.
I just know that, players that are running this hot to make it all the way to top 4 in a regional, when the chips are down, they draw the cards they need, but this is just a really unfortunate brick. It's similar to Piper's List, where if one of your attackers goes down, one of your pieces goes down, you have to jump through some hoops to fish it back out into the deck and get it into the hand. Decides to go for the scoop up net to pull this Regidrago back. What is going to be promoted? Just the Reg Ice.
Something that you don't mind getting knocked out. It does have 130 HP, I believe, so will require another Galarian Zigzagoon ping to take the knockout with Aqua Bullet.
Ah, that is true. The Galarian Zigzagoon was in hand before. It got scooped up earlier. We'll see if another scoop up net can be found to maybe make some space for it. Get that extra 10 damage, because if Andrew can send up this Reg Ice, get the space to buy one more extra turn to prevent a knockout, he still stays ahead in the prize exchange. But Cross Switcher is going to be the card of choice, and to scoop up net on the Drizzile to bring Inteleon back up into the active. We now have space on the bench for that Zigzagoon for later if Piper chooses not to re-bench. But now Regieleki is going to go down, and one more prize going to Piper, and she's going to pull ahead in the exchange.
Piper is a machine with this deck. She is piloting it perfectly for her outs and setting up knockout after knockout. And with a matchup like this, now Piper is going to be the one kind of controlling the tempo of this game.
With Inteleon coming through, that's now 2 Regis missing from the puzzle for Andrew. You've got to still recover the Regirock from the discard pile. We've got to find another Regieleki in order to turn that Ancient Wisdom back on and promote an attacker to take down the Inteleon. And now this spread damage just makes it that much harder for this residual damage to come through. You can see Piper's already fixing the math. The Regigigas has above that 120 HP, so you have to do that additional homework in order to take it down. It's actually at 150.
And finally, Ordinary Rod is found for Andrew here. He's going to be able to shuffle back both those Regirock, and with an Ultra Ball in hand, he's going to be able to find it. And finally, Ancient Wisdom is online yet again.
The Regieleki has been, the prime target in this matchup, and it just keeps going down, keeps offering up prizes. I don't know if Andrew is going to maybe try to adapt the strategy at all for Regieleki to just kind of be like a final combo piece from the hand, right? It just comes slamming down rather than getting set up as a lightning attacker. Once you get the Ancient Wisdom down, we can maybe start relying on things like Dragon Energy to get the knockouts instead.
Energy Lotto, looking at the top 7, you get to place an energy from there into your hand.
And finds the Capture Energy. This will be good for fishing out a missing Regi piece if need be, but already an Ordinary Rod used to get the Regirock back. The setup is once again reestablished. All the Regis working in harmony here. Dragon's Horde for one more card. Another Ordinary Rod's great to see. And here comes Ancient Wisdom to power up this Regidrago with its Giant Fangs attack, 160 damage. The other Drago with the other attack. Still plenty to take down this Inteleon.
And with that, Drew now ties it up, but he is behind in the prize race. And with no disruption other than that Marnie, it's going to be a little awkward going forward. There's the Clara, though.
Oh my goodness, this is so strong. The Clara going into the discard pile to put the Pokemon right back into the hand, and the energy. That means this Drizzile with a Fire Energy attachment can immediately become Inteleon, get 2 more cards with Shady Dealings, and then with a manual attachment from hand, we've got another Aqua Bullet. Piper not missing a beat.
Play level ball. Ping the active.
And there is that Galarian Zigzagoon to get that extra 10 damage needed for the KO. And just another Shady dealings. This is what this deck does, and it's pretty great to watch it do its thing.
And as Piper starts getting access to the prize cards now, those Drizziles are going to come, the rare candy's going to come, and now the cascading momentum of just, well, now I have another Inteleon, I have this Aqua Bullet, it's constantly raining down, is just going to put Andrew so far behind. It's not just about having attackers available, you need to get all of your Reggies back from the discard pile as they keep getting sent there. Scrapper just to thin down, getting rid of the choice belts.
And,
Both of those cards really do not matter in this matchup, so might as well get them out of the way.
And slowly but surely, Piper creeping in on a victory here in game one. Still plenty of time left on the clock, but Andrew's not going to go down without a fight.
Might go down with 3 ordinary rods in hand, though.
Pokestop to bump the Magma Basin. Has the rebench on the Regidrago. Ancient Wisdom back online. So we can take a prize from this Inteleon, but now as Andrew fights to catch up, he's turning this Radiant Charizard into an additional attacking threat. Capture Energy, double speed Lightning, turns Terra Spark back on. Manaphy still on the bench, reminder, so we don't get that damage onto the benched Pokemon here. Just KOing the active, having to play this a lot more honest, whereas Piper with the Aqua Bullet and the Zigzagoon can get that additional damage onto benched Pokemon and fix that math for future turns.
Adam, I feel like we've seen this turn before. That's going to be Raihan to get the energy attachment. Find that Inteleon. You got shady dealings yet again. And we're going to see another Aqua Bullet, maybe even scoop up net.
Piper, as you said, is a machine. It's an Inteleon assembly line here at this point. The Rescue Carrier just getting a couple missing pieces back. All the pieces are in play. Piper just has to execute. She's been running hot all day. Was the only player to take a game off of the first seed heading through the Swiss rounds, and is now here in top 4, looking very comfortable in this first game. Going to close it out here. And in her own words, felt this was not a favored matchup for this deck, but has managed to consistently pilot her way into these winning positions versus this other single prize Regigigas deck.
Yeah, if you think about it, Piper's record of 13-3 is really 15-1. She scooped against 2 matchups that are very favorable for her and put her in this position to where you kind of run through the bracket and you're like, oh, okay, top 8 matchup, that's an auto win.
Okay.
This matchup, it's back and forth, but everything else, you pretty much put in cut, and she's saying, yeah, I have the deck to beat this tournament.
Having such a massive buffer of points from the Swiss rounds where you can then be a gatekeeper, you know, you're the bouncer outside of the top 8 to go, I like this matchup. I'm going to scoop and try to give you some points and get you in here.
Just open the door for them.
But overall, again, we see the execution at play. Inteleon once again taking another prize. These 2 damage counters just being distributed onto the Reggies just makes every subsequent KO that much easier. Andrew Kenneth going in with the Ordinary Rod, getting the Regieleki back into the deck, and a Regidrago now just has to get them back into the hand to re-establish this setup. The Capture Energy will do just that. Reg Ice pulls the Regieleki from the top, and now we have the shuffle. Ancient Wisdom's online. The KO goes through for the Inteleon, and then Charizard is ready to come screeching up into the active spot whenever he so chooses at this point. We have 2 options, right, with a Drizzile on the bench and Radiant Charizard for this Inteleon to maybe just revive back from the discard pile.
Oh, it is Charizard time, baby, and I am excited for it.
Radiant Charizard, exactly what this deck is built around. Inteleon sets the stage, does so much heavy lifting, and then Charizard comes through at the end to claim all the glory and pretend it was him all along.
Shady dealings.
Now Piper does find that Inteleon yet again off that Evolution Incense, finding a Raihan and an Air Balloon. So She has plans, and it's going to probably be attacking with this Inteleon yet again, maybe.
And I love the pickup of the air balloon there, just in case there's any sort of stranding play, trying to cut off with the scoop up nets. You still have a way to retreat and still get that line. You also need the air balloon, right? Because once you use Radiant Charizard's attack, it can't attack again.
Yeah, and this whole game came down to Drew missing that one turn of Ancient Wisdom. His hand not really able to do much, and because of that, Piper was that one turn ahead. And this is where you have these single prize decks put in a lot of work, because you can buy a little bit of time against those V-Stars, those V-Maxes, but against another single prize deck, there is no time to waste. If you miss one turn, it will swing the entire match.
Forcing your opponent to keep up with you beat for beat is not something that we often see. It comes down, as you said, much more to a specific prize map. But here it is, both players just throwing haymakers at one another, taking prize after prize. Andrew's deck has a little bit more of a clunkiness to it, where it doesn't have that direct search. You're just trying to draw tons of cards with research and Drago, and you just need your deck to come through for you. Another Ordinary Rod to find that missing Reggie once more.
Again, this Ordinary Rod shuffling him back. Andrew is going to hope to find him with something like another Capture Energy, Quick Ball, Ultra Ball of the like. And again, this will turn on the Ancient Wisdom, but it's just Drew's one turn short.
Yeah, just using the double Ordinary Rod here to thin the hand down. Still thinking about using this Dragon's Horde, but you have to swing in here to take down this Radiant Charizard. Only 160 HP, still well within range for these Reggies to knock out. And after the shuffle here, we've got to now get this back to the hand.
Now, Drew does have that Professor's Research, so we'll be able to draw a brand new hand of 7 cards, hoping to find that Reggie Drago. Granted, there's 3 of them in the deck, so most
Beautiful
likely we'll
pickup.
find it. But again, as long as Piper has access to 1 energy, it seems like, the game is going to be over. So Andrew's really just playing to his outs, has to hope Piper does not have it. And
Yep, and so we just get the knockout here with the Reggie Ice hitting for weakness. And now the Mew comes through, Inteleon is here. Clara finds the Radiant Charizard and the Fire Energy to get the final knockout. And even though it came down to 1 prize apiece, Piper was ahead in tempo after that misstep earlier from Andrew, where you have to take a turn off to reassemble your Reggies. And once again, the machine takes the first game, 1 win away from advancing to the finals.
yeah, couldn't really do much else other
Yep.
than that. Played it perfectly. Was able to capitalize on Drew missing that 1 turn, like you said. And he's going to need to tighten things up a little bit. Make sure to draw those Ordinary Rods at the right time. Not save all of them for, the end of the game.
And I mean, this is exactly the sorts of matchups I think players really like. Kind of a return to a little bit of an older style of Pokemon with the single prizers. You're taking 6 knockouts rather than these bigger games that are done after 3. But with these lists also having access to modern engines of consistency and setup, it's a nice mixture of the old and the new, where you think that just the fact that this Reggie deck exists is kind of a miracle in and of itself. You'd think that having all of these different basic Pokemon all on your bench at the same time would be some insurmountably achievable meme that is just, oh, you just do it for fun, or maybe you get your Reggie set up once every handful of games and you start to pop off with the Ancient Wisdom and having tons of energy wherever you like. But it's been proven, I think, at this point, top 4 in the Masters division here in the Baltimore Regionals. Reggie is a solid deck that does demand some respect. And when you hit this matchup, it's, this is ironically its weakness, right? Is going up against another single prize deck. You want to be up against the lists that are focused more on only needing 3 knockouts or so in order to end a game. And when you force them to take 6, buying yourself a couple extra turns of play is so important.
I was a little worried for Drew there. having 2 Regidrago in the prizes, but starting off with the Hisuian Heavy Ball, grab that right away.
There is 3 Regidrago, fortunately, but yeah, that is great to get the heavy ball. Also shuffles it back down to the bottom of the prizes, so that could come back in case that other Regidrago needs to be broken out of the prizes. Energy Lotto being found here. 1 energy to add to the hand.
It's looking like it's going to be that twin energy, and it's probably just so you can retreat this Regice next turn, maybe get some draw with that Dragon's Horde.
Yeah, Piper also starting with a Manaphy. Andrew really wants to get the knockout on this Pokemon if possible. Being a step behind the way he was in the first game, didn't have the luxury to really chase down the Manaphy so that the Terra Spark from Regieleki could start breaking down some bench damage.
Showing off the 4 Professor's Research just hiding out on the bottom of the deck.
All together. Yeah, going to try to shuffle that quite nicely. But now we're only missing Regigigas. Again, it's the consistency of achieving this setup is something that Andrew has demonstrated that is very easy to do in the first couple turns. But repairing the setup once the knockouts start coming through is the difficulty.
Yeah, the difficulty also is Drew's hand. It is pretty bad. You got that Choice Belt that does nothing in this matchup, and an Ordinary Rod that you do not want right now. Thankfully, with that Twin Energy found off, that Energy Lotto will be able to retreat and draw a few cards next turn.
All right, so we've got Quick Ball now. We can find the Sobble. The foundation of Piper's setup, of course, is getting that Keep Calling down on the opening turns to fill up the bench, get the Drizziles all ready to go to fill in the gaps and start threatening the Inteleon. We thought that Piper's list would be a bit slower in Game 1 with that Rare Candy prize, with the Drizzile prize, but Andrew just unfortunately wasn't able to really get that opening tempo, and we saw Sobble just slowly evolve into a Drizzile, into the Inteleon, get the double manual attachment, and just immediately become an explosive threat that Andrew just couldn't really deal with.
Well, there you have it, the Keep Calling. Like you mentioned, Piper able to start off her turn. All right, there's no supporter or anything like that. A little awkward there, but next turn, you kind of have to expect that a Drizzile is going to come down.
Yeah, even with only a portion of the setup, we know that this list is quite strong. But look at this. We finally have the setup completed. The Twin Energy being used to retreat the Regi Ice. And then a draw off the Dragon's Horde. Going to Boss's Order up the Manaphy. So Andrew now finding himself in a much stronger tempo position, but not enough energy in the discard pile. Wait, the Twin Energy plus...
A capture, yeah. So just colorless energy available for Andrew here. So unable to actually attack even though you lined up that Ancient Wisdom. And looking at the hand, it is very bad.
Yeah, we need the Aurora energy.
Rod. Yeah, double Ordinary Rod in hand, and then a couple Pokemon and stuff that don't really do much of anything right now, and Piper senses the weakness. The gears are turning, and we're going to see a Rare Candy Inteleon.
Yep, Irida for Rare Candy plus the Inteleon. This tech has become so popular, even outside of these specific, like, Charizard box lists. Just having that one of Rare Candy to get that emergency Inteleon Shady Dealings has been so strong in a lot of decks if you have the slots to include it.
This is just domination from Piper right here.
So unfortunate that Andrew had the setup, had the boss for the Manaphy, but didn't have the Aurora energies in the discard pile to truly capitalize on that knockout. So here is the scoop up net to put the Manaphy back down onto the bench, and here comes Inteleon.
And with that, Piper has now started the ticker, basically. You need to start taking prizes right now, and if Drew doesn't, then it's going to be rough. Wow. Professor's Research off the top of the deck for Drew. It's going to be a little awkward having to discard the other Ordinary Rod, being able to use the first one to shuffle in that Regidrago, but at least you get to play the game.
Yeah, the biggest problem has been so far is getting the Aurora energy set up, and when you're trying to complete the second half of your deck's goal while trying to keep these Reggies all in play, still trying to keep up with the tempo and take prizes so you don't fall too far behind. It is just incredibly taxing. If Andrew can't get a return knockout this turn and Piper pulls 2 prizes ahead, it's going to seal the deal on this best of 3.
Oh, this is so awkward. So you can discard energy with that Aurora energy and be able to use any attack you kind of want, but you want the draw 2 with the speed lightning as well. Scoop Up Net is able to pick up the active. So what Drew could have done was Aurora energy, discard the speed lightning, Scoop Up Net the Registeel into, or no, he's still missing the Regidrago. Yeah. This
has to get that one back. Incredibly awkward for everything to fall apart here at the top 4. Going to Scoop Up Net the Registeel, promote the Regieleki. With 1 speed lightning energy attached, it can just use 1 of its attacks, but it's not going to be dealing any damage here.
Yeah, going to be able to pick up any trainer card from the discard, but Drew opting just for the Scoop Up Net, trying to save it.
Going to promote the Regigigas instead. A little bit tankier with the 150 HP. The Galarian Zigzagoon is already down. Does force Piper to have a little bit more resources in order to get the knockout here. So maybe, you know, the Regigigas grandfather can hold the fort for 1 more turn, and it looks like he does hold.
But for what?
Yeah, with the 120 damage coming through with the Regigigas, it means that 20 damage from the Aqua Bullet once it's back on the bench, plus the Galarian Zigzagoon, will just be a prize that Piper can collect later, especially in response to Andrew having to use a couple scoop-up nets there. Won't be able to reset this damage Regigigas very quickly. Quick ball to discard the Aurora energy, finally getting into the discard pile, and we have to find the other Reggie that's missing from this equation, the Drago.
Yeah, and having only access to 3 Scoop Up Net in the list, that means Andrew just has 1 left. And if he's able to find it, it's going to be pretty good. You won't be too far behind in this prize race, but if not, it's going to be rough goings going forward.
Yeah, the Regigigas bought some much-needed time, but now Andrew needs to capitalize, and this has been, unfortunately, the theme of this best of 3, where Andrew is just a half step behind every single game. Regidrago, Regieleki in the hand. There's an attachment to Regigigas. Ancient Wisdom now online. With the Twin Energy plus Ancient Wisdom, the Regigigas can use Gigaton Break, but then you're just setting yourself up for that return knockout.
Yeah, I guess really going for that air balloon in the list to retreat this Regigigas. Does not find it off the 7 cards or the Scoop Up Net to go along with it. Still has that Pokestop to maybe dig a little further.
Pokestop, 3 cards, deciding Andrew's fate here.
Nope. 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 Oh.
Yeah.
And with that, it's just going to be too hard for Andrew to overcome. And Piper Lepine punching her ticket into the finals of Baltimore Regionals here to start off the season. What a way to do it.
Inteleon Radiant Charizard, a deck that only a few players believed in, got a little bit more shine during Worlds, and Piper picked up on that immediately, has been piloting this deck like a master. I would not be surprised if she invented this list. That's how clean she's been playing this entire game, this entire set, the entire Swiss rounds, and again, one of the only player to take a win off of our first seed heading into the top 8.
Yeah, pretty insane to think about. And now she has to go up either against Mew, VMAX, or Ice Rider. Honestly, both of those matchups seem kind of good for her deck.
Yeah, the congratulations, of course, once again to Piper. And who knows if her little shenanigan there at the end of the Swiss rounds maybe did allow her to find a favored matchup here going towards the end. She already had to overcome the Reggie matchup, one that she wasn't confident in being able to win, but seemed to go through it pretty easy breezy. I mean, Andrew Kenneth, of course, big congratulations to him as
Yeah.
well, going all the way to top 4 against an incredibly stacked Swiss, where 35 points is the cutoff to make top 8 is absurd. You know the caliber of play is so high when you need to get that many points to overcome a field of 1,000 players to get to this point.
Yeah, and doing it with only one Registeel on the list.
Oh yeah, the secret tech, only one Registeel.
That's honestly why he scooped in the Swiss rounds, having that Registeel and that Hisuian Heavy Ball in the prizes. Can't really do much with that.
But yeah, Registeel is kind of, you know, the oddball, the least useful Regi. So by cutting one of those, you take a little bit of a bigger risk, but having an extra card elsewhere can make or break a matchup.
Yeah, well, we are ready to hear from the machine herself, Piper Lepine, and hear just all about this tournament and what she has looking forward to.
Thank you very much, guys. I am joined by Piper, our first finalist here in Baltimore. First thing I want to ask, and something the casters are talking about, you made it through Swiss really, really comfortably, and then you basically allowed some games to maybe not be played out fully. How has that paid off? Because you seem to have been running through the top 8 and top 4 pretty quickly.
Yeah, so round 14, I scooped to the Miltank Morpeko stall control deck that I thought it was a good matchup, so I scooped it into top 8, and then I ended up hitting it in top 8 and had a pretty swift 2-0 there. It's a really cool deck and all, but it's a good matchup for me. I have like a lot of outs to that. And then round 15, I hit Nick Moffitt playing Mir, and I lost game 1, and we only had about 30 minutes left in the game, and I knew I couldn't win 2 games in Mir, so I assumed it would be a tie at best, and if I tied there, I probably would have been 1st seed and he probably would have been 8th seed.
Okay.
And I didn't want to hit Mir in top 8, so I just ended up scooping the whole thing to have some time and relax before cut.
Yeah, honestly, perfect tactics throughout Swiss. It's something we don't get to see very often, but it has worked out super well in your favor. Obviously, top 4, you run back into the Regi deck. We saw you play it earlier. And in that game, obviously, Drew's prizes were up for debate a little bit, right? He prized the Hisuian Heavy Ball and the single copy of the Registeel.
Yep.
Some people were saying that was decisive, but how do you feel that matchup went differently? You played out 2 full games, but you felt in control the whole way. Is that how you saw it, or was there anything you were like, oh, I have to navigate this?
Yeah, so game 1, my prizes were awful. It was double Drizzile and Rare Candy, as well as the Zard and Twin. I think those are all the relevant ones. So I was looking through my deck, I'm like, okay, well, this is basically lost. But then he missed an attack, which allowed me to get a... So when I got the first prize off of the Intel, it was a Drizzile. And then he whiffed an attack, so then I was able to get the second Drizzile off the prizes, which really swung the tempo back into my favor because I also was winning the prize trade. And once I have the Drizziles, I'm pretty able to like get the consistent attacks off after each time they get killed.
Yeah, it felt like you just, I mean, single prize decks, you get ahead in the prize trade, and you didn't miss a beat after that, so it plays really, really well. Let's look forward around. Obviously, the finals is coming up next. They're still playing, but you do know the 2 deck options you've got to play against. It's either going to be that Mew or the Palkia with the Ice Rider. Is there a preferred option, or are you just comfortable against either of them?
I'm not completely sure on the Palkia Ice Rider list, but it sounded like they were playing something similar to Grant Manley's Top 16 Worlds list, which means there's probably Cologne, which can get like really awkward when they boss or switcher Manaphy, Cologne, and Radiant Greninja my board. But mirror match is like extremely luck based. If one person, it's basically first person to intel attack, usually ends up winning. But so yeah, I'm not really a fan of hitting either.
I think you'll be fine. Honestly, you've been on an absolute tear this tournament. The guys on the desk were saying it feels like you constructed this deck. Like, how long have you been playing it, and what made you kind of stick with it for Baltimore?
I've been really busy with school. I'm in my senior year, so I played about like 5 games with the deck before this weekend. I saw Ross's list from Worlds. I liked it a lot. I played an Inteleon box to Worlds. The deck just seemed fun to play, and